My project will be looking more in depth into no-till agriculture and the ways in which indigenous agricultural knowledge has been co-opted in the quote-unquote modern no-till agricultural movement. Though no-till agriculture has been kind of a buzzword within sustainable agricultural communities for quite a few years now, there's been very little acknowledgement of the origins of much of the knowledge that kind of lays the foundation for this no-till agricultural practice. I will be creating a learning tool for Book and Plow to distribute to anyone who might be interested in learning more about no-till agriculture in general, and the ways in which Book and Plow is currently making decisions around their use of plowing, and also the possibility of no-till agricultural processes being taken up on a larger scale at the farm. So before I jump more into what I will be exploring with the creation of this learning tool, I will briefly discuss the sections of our course that led me into this project. The first time we talked in depth about tilling, plows, and no-till agricultural practices was when we read Jane Mount Pleasant's article, A New Paradigm for Pre-Columbian Agriculture in North America. The discussion of this article in class helped us gain a better understanding of the innovation and sustainability of no-till agricultural practices. And we also were able to understand the link between plow agriculture and colonial violence. As someone who has studied agriculture throughout my time at Amherst, it was important for me to identify the co-optation of indigenous no-till agricultural methods in the quote-unquote modern no-till agricultural movement. Reading this article made me curious to explore how an understanding of this erasure and co-optation of knowledge could be spread to different groups who are interested in food and agriculture on our campus, as these types of discussions are not currently happening nearly as often as they should be. Another big takeaway for me from the class was Maida's visit, where we learned a little bit more about the complex decision-making processes that many farmers must engage in order to stay afloat. She mentioned briefly that the farm was interested in using more no-till agricultural practices, so I was interested in following up and learning a little bit more about the decision-making practices that Book and Plow is currently using, as they're kind of envisioning perhaps a broader use of no-till agricultural practices. My hope in this project is to kind of find a way to disseminate the information I learned through some in-depth conversations with Maida and Kaylee at the farm, and also the information that we learned in this class about the co-optation of indigenous agricultural knowledge to kind of the broader college community to help folks gain a better understanding of the way our farm works here, but also a deeper understanding of the history of no-till agriculture and its connection to settler colonialism in the case of the United States. Kind of turning back to the learning tool I'll be creating, I aim to make it a 2 to 3 page document that is highly accessible to everyone, regardless of previous agricultural knowledge or experience. I'm working with Maida to see how we can include it on the Book and Plow webpage and circulate it amongst folks who might be interested in learning a little bit more about the farm's practices and also just no-till agriculture in general. The main things that I will be including in the learning tool will be a history of the plow, how it was utilized in the settler colonial project of the United States, the indigenous origin of the agricultural processes that are in the quote-unquote modern no-till agricultural movement, the benefits of using no-till practices, the ways that Book and Plow currently uses tilling, and the ways that they are currently working to explore no-till kind of methods. So a question that I've kind of been considering throughout this project has been, how can we use Book and Plow as a tool of learning for the broader Amherst community? And how can we kind of spread some of the knowledge that we've learned in this course to folks who might be interested in food and ag across campus who might not yet have encountered this kind of information. So I hope that this project will kind of be an interesting starting point to kind of explore some of these questions more in depth.